Hello everybody, and especially Mark, Dr. Deadwax. Want to do a quick, well, probably not so quick, response to your September subscribers contest. The Christmas babies, as you so-called put it, which I will selfishly be enjoying the other responses because I am involved in the contest, which is pretty damn cool. Mark, Dr. Deadwax, Rob Paniques, Robin Boston, and myself, David Sequoia Flame, all happen to share the same birthday. And I do believe Derek's brother Pat also happens to have the same birthday, September 25th. So Mark said to do a basically pick out like 3 records that you think that each of us would like, Rob, Mark, David, or that they don't know about and they might like. So dug through my collection, pulled out a few for everyone, including myself, which is probably the easiest part. But the first let's do Mark. This is your contest. Let's get you out of the way. First album is one of my, let's call my top 10 records. One of my favorite records, and that is the Marc Almond, the first album, Marc Almond Band. Actually, Blue Thumb release. You can't really see the blue thumb there, but Blue Thumb release with the little flip flap going on. This, I don't know if you know about Marc Almond or if you've, because I don't believe I've ever seen you show anything by him. Might be wrong, but this is one of the most chill and relaxed and flat out cool record, I mean, ever. Marc Almond Band has a sound entirely their own. John Mark and Johnny Almond, 2 English pretty much session musicians that when they were working together with John Mayall decided to, get together and form a band with phenomenal results. You could almost call it fusion-y. It's this sort of mellow, laid-back, soft rock, if you would, that is very jazzy, extremely jazzy. It gets bluesy and at times a little funky with the bass lines. Although there is percussion on the album, there is a flat-out lacking of drums, and it's just so, I don't know the right word that comes to mind. It's so relaxing. The whole album is just like lay back, spin it, the kind of soul music, if you would, very cool band, especially the first album. I love the first album. Second album's real good, third one's good, but especially the first album. Just, there's something urban about it. Makes me think of New York. Really damn good. It's what you're listening to. Hope you enjoy, Mark. Another one for you, Mark. Jerry Hahn and his Quintet. Jazzy album that gets downright and flat out psychedelic at times, especially in the first song, Arabian. I don't know how you want to pronounce that, but awesome album with some phenomenal players on it. Jerry Hahn, of course, on guitar, and you got Joel Nukes, who I don't know about, Noel Jukes, wow, flipped it, tenor, sax, and flute, the wonderful Ron McClure on bass, and Michael White doing violin, of course, and there's my boy right there, Jack D. Jeanette on drums. Came out in 67. This is a second press, came out a few years later, I think 70, something like that, off of Arhoolie Records, which you can still get this album sealed from Arhoolie Records on the website for $20, pretty sure $20. Awesome album, all around. Killer release that I don't see how you couldn't like. See if you could hunt this down. You will not be disappointed, Mark. And the last one I got for you, Mark, pretty sure you know about this artist. I'd be shocked if you don't, but this is my favorite album by him. Larry Coryell's Barefoot Boy. What a gem. Oh, if you don't own this record, I mean, if you ever come across it, do not hesitate, Mark. It is so good. Spiritual jazz at its finest, with touches of fusion in the guitar playing, like almost psychedelic soloing. Really damn good. The closing track, A Call to Higher Consciousness, is one of the most spiritual songs I've ever heard. Just the whole sound of it is phenomenal. And the opening track, Gypsy Queen, a cover of Gypsy Queen, that, in my opinion, just basically blows Santana's version out of the water. So damn good. Mark, this album talks to me, and I know it'll talk to you. Alrighty, on to Mr. Rob Paniques. First, Rob, I just want to say, my heart's going out to you with what's going on with your father, and I've PM'd you, and I said my mind, and just be strong. That's the best advice I could give you. Hold in there for your mom, and just be what you already are, a big mushy heart. So let's jump into these for you, Rob. Rob, I love this band. I show a lot of records by them, and this particular album makes me think of you. And the band I'm talking about, of course, is Acid Mother's Temple and the Melting Horizon UFO album, Ripper at the Heaven's Gates of Dark. The reason this makes me think of you, Rob, is because the opening track, Chinese Flying Saucer, has this guitar riff which is so Zeppelin inspired, or derived, if you want, that it's really damn good. It just has that 70s rock sound, and it's like whoa. When I first heard it, I was like, okay, yeah. And every time I drop the needle on this record, that first track comes on, it just makes me think of you. So if you're ever going to dive into some of the more freak out music that I'm that I drool over all the time, this would be the Acid Mother's Temple album for you to get. I mean, flat out, most short. It's very listenable compared to a lot of their other albums. Shine On You Crazy Dynamite, of course derived from Shine On You Crazy Diamond, has some beautiful synthesizer work, and Backdoor Man of Ghost Rails In is one of my favorite Acid Mother's Temple songs. It's so beautiful. It's acoustic, and it just sort of builds to a freak out at the end. Awesome album. Rob, as you know, Rob is one of the few VC members that I've managed to actually meet, and that I've dug, in record stores with, and went looking around when I was in Boston last year. And this band, not this album, but this band, I ended up finding an album up there with them when I was digging. I was real excited. But this first album they did by the Ainsley Dunsbar Retaliation, self-titled, their first album off of Blue Thumb. Blue Thumb is my flat-out favorite by them, and it is a monster. It's flat-out blues rock album. So damn good. Especially side 2. I am in love with side 2. Side 2, the opening track on side 2 is a Sage of Sydney Street, which is downright jazzy. It's pretty much just a bass solo, and then the drums accompanying along with it. I mean, phenomenal song. And the closing track, Mutiny, is for the most part just a drum solo. Ainsley Dunbar, phenomenal drummer. If you don't know him, he's worked with everybody from like Journey to Frank Zappa. He was in the Mothers for a while. Awesome album. Bluesy, rock, psychedelic, touches of jazz in there. I could not see how you would not enjoy this one if you ever come across it, Rob. It's a little rare, but not unobtainable. Last one I picked out for you, Rob, is Goodwill find for me that was just so damn good. And that is the band Fat Mattress. Beautiful 60s gatefold. I love that off Atlantic Atco. This is Noel Redding's band after he left the Experience, Jimmy's Experience, and it's pretty much like a psychedelic pop record, very much of the times. The opening track has some really killer psychedelic flute in there that just follows the rhythm of the song perfectly. This is definitely an awesome album, and if you ever come across it, Rob, don't pass it up. This would be for you. Alrighty, now on to me. Save the best for last. Picked out 3 records, of course, for myself, but I want to talk about this one first. This was a gift, a VCLT, from the wonderful Derek Higgins, and it was an album that ended up coming from a radio station, and when they got it, they put a stamp on there, property of KVNO FM, and the receive date, and check out the receive date, right? September 25. 1984. That is my exact birth date. What are the odds? I had to share that since we're talking about the birthday and the Christmas babies. My exact birth date. This album was received by the what's the word I'm looking for? By the radio station, and then Derek happens to send it to me, not knowing. So what an awesome coincidence! Just had to share that. Okay, now on to what I'm talking about for. Some of my favorites in my collection, some of the records that I know I obviously like. Love, Devotion, Surrender by Carlos Santana and John McLaughlin. Dream Team album. Just gotta put that out there and say that Dream Team album has the single best cover of A Love Supreme I have ever heard. Just 2 phenomenal musicians, guitarists at their prime. Love this album. I've talked about this album so much. I'm not even really going to try to talk very much more about it. Just saying, The Far Cry. Flat out my favorite psychedelic record that I have. This is a masterpiece. Almost a proto-fusion, if you would, with some totally like avant jazz, saxophone playing and some really bluesy guitar and some mellow organ and xylophone. Just amazing album. And sadly enough, the only release they did, not a lot of people know about this record. It's fairly rare. I ended up finding it at Goodwill. If anybody comes up if this comes up in your travels, in your digging, anywhere, just snag it. Trust me. Amazing album. Really, really enjoy that one. And last album I have to share. Being a record collector, when you tell people about, I collect records, or I'm a big fan, and they see my collection firsthand, a question I get asked a lot is, what's your favorite record? And I'm sure a lot of us get that question. And my sort of default answer is, I don't really have a favorite, but here's some of the ones that I really enjoy. But lately, it seems that when somebody asks me, what's your favorite record? This album just immediately pops right into my mind. So it's like, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. I'm going to stick with my default answer. But record I'm talking about is Jack D. Jeanette's Have You Heard? Oh, so good. Man, this album is phenomenal. The more I listen to it, the more I just really fucking enjoy it. This was a Goodwill find for me. I've talked about this before. I'm sorry. I know I'm showing the records over and over again, but this is just an awesome all-around album. This does no wrong, in my opinion. You got Benny Maupin playing on here with Gary Peacock and Hideo Ichikawa. Recorded in Japan in 1970. This is the U.S. press off of Milestone. The Japanese press is a gatefold, and it's beautiful, but it's so expensive. So I doubt I'll ever get that one, but amazing album. the opening track written by Benny Maupin, Neophilia, Love of the New, has him playing on the bass clarinet, which is that instrument just, I don't know, I have this connection with it. There's no instrument I want to hear more in jazz than the bass clarinet. It just traps me. I don't know. It's something about the deepness and the timbre of the instrument and the way you can physically hear the air coming out of it. It just talks to me. And the few opening tracks of that song, just every time, just love it. And big 21-minute song. Have you heard? Jack D. Jeanette, of course. It's just free jazz mania. Love it. And the closing track for Jane is this beautiful flute by Benny Maupin, but it also has D. Jeanette, strangely enough, playing electric piano, which is really trip. It's such a mellow, beautiful song, and a wonderful way to close out the album. Just blows my mind every time I listen to it, and I don't listen to it as much as I want. It's almost like every time I look at my records, I go to grab this, but then put it back because I don't want to saturate myself with it. But one of my favorite records for sure. Let's just leave it at that. Gotta show that one if we're talking about records that I like. So Mark, thank you very much for doing another contest. And, thank you for including me. I'll definitely be looking out for everyone else's thoughts about what you and Rob and what I like. So, yeah. Until next time, good luck to everyone.